Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the advocating convo I had with Jessica in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that interview, feel free to pause this now, go back and listen to that one, and then come back and join us.
Do it.
You know what? This intro just made me realize. One, we're on what, episode 138, and I'm still reading a script. So anyways, there's that. And two, I need to get Lindsay Moore on.
Yeah.
Because we are going to actually bring her on. She's already said she wants to be on to talk about how you can be an advocate. So I'm saying that because I know that Brad and Amanda make notes and help me remember.
You're just coaching the team right here live on the pod.
Yep. Let's see if they're listening. Anyways, aside from that amazing announcement that's going to be happening.
It's not typically how we do things around here, y'all.
No.
We're gonna roll with it today.
I know. I'm getting notes. I'm sure there's gonna be notes to me. There's gonna be notes behind the note.
Amazing.
Anyways, we are also doing that because we're so busy with Agency Mini Week. It is insane and amazing around here. The buzz in this house is so fun because one of the things we're on this mission to do is more bodies doing Pilates. And one of the ways we can do that, as you know, I've said before, not everyone will like me. I'm not a taco. And so we help other instructors and studio owners grow their businesses, because when they grow their businesses, they're teaching more people, and that means mission accomplished.
Yes, that's very true. So this week is one of the 2 times each year we do Agency Mini, and it's for fitness business owners of all kinds, and it's where we get a chance to really get to know you get to know us, and all the how our coaching program works during this week. And it's full of amazing foundational information for fitness business owners. And
also we do the webinar on foundational information, and then we answer all of your questions. No matter where you are in your business, we have an answer for you.
Yeah. But right now we're in the middle of it, so it's a little too late to jump in. But you can put yourself on the wait list for the next round, which we're going to be doing early next year. So if you are interested in information about that, just go to profitablepilates.com/mini.
Yeah. And now we're getting really ready. In a week, we're going to be in Chicago at Balance.
Yeah. Hop on a plane.
Yeah. Balance Bodies Pilates on tour. I hope we're going to see you there. If we're going to see you there, make sure you let us know. Brad's actually going to be at our booth, and then I will be at our booth and teaching classes. So, but we want to see you.
Yeah.
In real life.
And OPC members, check your emails.
Oh yeah. We're working on that meetup. So make sure you are watching for that. And then we come back from that on our anniversary. Happy anniversary, babe.
Oh, thanks.
We'll be on a plane, and
It's how we do.
It's how we do. It's literally how we do. I mean, at least this one will be together.
That's also true. At least this one we will be together.
Yeah. Because 2 days after we return, so a week and 2 weeks from now, is our in-person business retreat.
Yeah.
So which I can't wait. And many of you are like, oh, I want to do the next one. Well, I don't know. There isn't one right now.
The next one.
So if you're wanting to be on a retreat with us, then you actually just want to join us in Cambodia.
Yeah. Look, if you are super interested in digging into the customer journey and the entire process, whether you're a brick and mortar or you're an online business, and all the automations that can be associated with either of those scenarios, you still can join us in real life in Las Vegas for the business retreat. If that's something of interest to you, just shoot us a DM. Otherwise, like Lesley said, at the end of October, we are going to be kicking off our Cambodia retreat. It's going to be the first one we've run in more than 2 years.
I know,
thank
it's
you,
so
COVID.
crazy.
And we are really, really, really excited to be getting back to one of the places in this world that we are just the most passionate about. I know you've heard me talk about it 100 times, but truly it's one of my favorite places to be on this planet.
It's so magical. We're going a week ahead of time, and I'm not sad that our flight out is not as early as we had planned because we get a few more days.
It's going to be amazing to be back there. And as you probably already know, I spent a month there earlier this year with Lesley's dad. The two of us went through all 12 bedrooms. We figured out what needed to be looked at, adjusted. It was 2 years of upkeep that we were able to do this great construction on the property, did amazing landscaping and gardening. Our place is looking really fantastic. In fact, I just got pictures of our new banana trees that we planted, and they're already huge. A third again as tall. It's only been a couple months. It's crazy to see them grow. You're going to love hanging with us there. So we hope you come join us. Yeah,
because you know what, shared experiences are really what makes life so amazing and interesting. And I had some people ask me on a call, what else should I do when I'm there? And I'm like, because once you're all the way over there, you may as well bop around. And we still might. We haven't actually planned our extra days, but you can go to Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Singapore, Bali. I mean, they're in wherever it's Southeast Asia. Have so much fun. So anyways, we hope you join us. And
to do so, just go to lesleylogan.co/retreat.
Thanks for remembering that. I was like, and what is that? So anyways, it is mini week, loves. Okay.
But first, Lesley.
Oh.
We had an audience question to respond to, yeah?
We do.
That question was, okay, this is personal. So what finally made you, Lesley, comfortable enough to share your story about all the health challenges that you had experienced literally starting in college? And then it took, 10 years before you were willing to actually be open about all those challenges?
Yeah.
So this is a really great question. This is a very personal question. But
I know, I feel like I'm more comfortable sharing the health stories rather than why I'm more comfortable sharing them.
Well, it's kind of perfect timing for this episode because of the sensitive topics you were discussing in the interview with Jessica.
I think it's a culmination of things, but I'll tell you what, for the stomach stuff, I didn't share them for a long time until I would really wait till I had to share them. And then it was why aren't you eating at this restaurant? And living in LA and losing as much weight as I lost, I was very aware that people thought I had an eating disorder. And I would rather them know that I had diarrhea every morning than think that I had an eating disorder. I just felt like that was because I wanted them to know the truth, and I could feel the side eyes and the glances and then the interesting comments. And so I thought, there's probably a lot of people who are like me, and then everybody's treating them the same way as I'm being treated. So I may as well share. And then the other thing is that my clients were sharing things about themselves that are personal because it was affecting their practice. Mm-hmm. And then they were going, they were acting like I didn't understand, or they thought I wouldn't understand. And the truth was I did understand, and I just didn't tell them that. So I started to realize that my not sharing my stories was actually making people think the wrong thing about themselves, about who I was, about my priorities. And so it just became easier to share than not share. And then what also happens when you share to the right people, obviously I didn't go tell a random person. I told people I was close to. So, if you're seeing yourself in the story, be really careful. Make sure we have a podcast interview coming up with Elle Russ about boundaries, but make sure that you tell someone is going to be understanding. Don't go tell the person who's always a Debbie Downer, always sees the negative things and things. Go tell someone who really is usually the positive Polly. And
but didn't you write a series of blog posts about your gut health journey?
Good memory. I forgot that.
For those of you who are wondering what we're talking about and what story, when she started to share, you can find them on the blog at onlinepilatesclasses.com.
Yeah, I forgot that we wrote that. I ended up...
It was four or six emails or posts,
Those posts came about after we finally got answers. And so that also...
That's exactly
first
right.
if you're trying to do the same thing, first open up to people that you feel like you can trust with your story and that aren't going to judge it or shove it on like, oh, everyone feels like that. And what you heard in Jessica's podcast is just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. So I told some people, and then because I trust those people and those people were the right people to tell, they actually people in their network to help me. And then I got help. And once I had answers, then I felt really comfortable sharing the story because I wasn't sharing from a place of I need answers. I was sharing from a place of I'm on my healing journey. And I think that for me, that made it the most comfortable to share with random people, to write a blog that anyone could read.
Also, there's a little bit of hope when you feel like you have a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And that's right. Thinking back now, this was many years ago, but having had a chance to have that 200-page report from the doctor that we found, where he actually sat down and explained to you all the things, it was, even though there was still a multiple year path to being more healthy, and being, healing, at least there was a path that was like, okay, we can do this. Whereas before it was always like, we don't know. Yeah. And this is just terrible.
Yeah. So if you are in a situation right now where you don't have hope, then people that you really do feel like has your best interest at heart are the people to tell. Then hopefully with their network, you can get the help and the hope. And then that was when I felt comfortable just sharing at anybody. And people were like, whoa, I had no idea. I'm like, I know you didn't have any idea. It was a lot. So
look, if you are, if you're applying this to your story and you have had gut challenges that you've gone to every doctor and every doctor has told you that there's nothing wrong with you, you're probably crazy. And you know that you're not, and I did
have a doctor tell me that. I had a doctor literally say, I think you have body dysmorphia. I need to go see a psychologist.
Yeah. I'm pulling bits from your story. If you are experiencing these same things and you've been, dealing with something for years, and we are more than happy to connect you to the doctor that Lesley found that was able to actually dig in and have this bigger picture about it. So if that's something that is really of interest to you and you're just like, you're at the end of the road, you just don't know what to do next, reach out to us and let us know. We're happy to make that connection for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. I hope, it's like, I always think about Tiffany Haddish, and someday I'll have her on the show, but she shared that she had about her doing her comedy, and she told a story about something that she and her mom had gotten in a fight in the parking lot that morning. She told the story and someone heckled it. And she realized in that moment, sharing things with the public where they could have judgment around it before you healed from something is not the way to do it. So she instead shared what was going on with her family in her joking way and her way of way that she handles life with close people. And that requires maybe you sitting down and writing down a list of people who are whose opinion of you matter, who always are there to help you out. And then she would, when she healed from it, then she'd make it into her comedy special. Yeah. And so I think that's just kind of how I interpreted it for myself. It's okay, who can I tell around me who I don't feel is going to judge me, who I don't feel is going to be Lesley, we're all going through this. And then I was able to write those blogs. And now I just talk about it because I don't want anyone to think that what they're going through with their health is normal. If it's just like Jessica said.
Well, we're gonna cover that.
Yeah, just because it's common, it's not normal.
Okay, now let's talk about Jessica. Y'all, you may have already heard Jessica Volant because we had her on as a guest way back at the beginning of the pod. That's because Jessica and Lesley are very close friends. They've known each other for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So we are so excited to be welcoming Jessica Volant back to the Beit Pod. She is a leader in the Pilates industry with a background in physical therapy. She is the founder of Momentum Fest, which is a huge international movement festival, usually hosted it's always been hosted out of the Denver area. Yeah. It's moved around inside of that.
People from the international community come.
Yeah, people fly in from all over the world. It's really amazing. Jessica is a strong believer in self-advocating, and she's a mom that is passionate about helping women find a positive outlet for tough health questions, and that's specifically because she has experienced a lot of health challenges since her early 20s, so very similar convo as what we just talked about, Lesley just talked about, but Jessica has been struggling with endometriosis. So anyway, she has been through all the things, including multiple pregnancies, IVFs, all that stuff. And it's a very powerful interview that you held with her. I didn't even know some of that stuff. And I also didn't know that she was so transparent about it. And she basically said, I never imagined I would be in the healthcare industry, but because of all the circumstances that I went through, I am.
Well, and I think this is, if you've ever heard your mess is your message, and I would hear that all the time from podcasts, and that's kind of how this podcast came to be, because I was a perfectionist and I was not taking it it just, so anyways, so basically she didn't imagine she'd be there, and because I don't want to say that her health is a mess, but the idea is that her problems basically became the thing that she talks about. And
totally.
She's the best person to talk about it because she's experienced it and she knows it. And so I had to have her back because we mentioned on her first episode, we didn't even get into the women's health. And I was like, well, that's so important to her.
We could change that. We could call it Your Pain is Your Program.
Oh, well then it's ours. I'm already putting a little copyright on that. TM. That's mine. Mine. All right. I just felt like a little Finding Nemo. Mine. What did you love that she said?
Yeah. So, I think a little bit of practical advice, because I started laughing about this because we've been paying for health insurance forever and we hardly take advantage of it. And this summer we thought, well, we need to just go get an annual checkup. And I went to the annual checkup and I don't know, I just sat there and I felt like I was having a shoot the shit combo with my new general practitioner. And it was only part way through that I was like, oh wait, I have actually a family history to share with you. And then at the end of it, you came in and we met in the lobby, and you said, oh, did you ask them about this thing specifically that you booked the entire appointment to ask them about? And I totally forgot. I literally forgot. And fortunately we were still at the office, and I was able to pull the doc aside and be like, hey, quick question. But it made me feel hilariously dumb that I forgot to talk to him about the thing. And when Jessica was talking about that scenario in her interview with you, I started laughing because I completely forgot some of the major stuff that was that I wanted to talk to him about. So she had very practical advice. She said, here are 3 tips for getting the most out of your doctor's appointments. Okay, this is any doctor's appointment. Number 1 is to take notes and just save them, write down what it is that you're feeling. And then you can then ask the doctor, hey, you can say to them, hey, this is normally how I feel, but I have been feeling these other things instead. Can you tell me what this means? Right? But the big key thing there is write it down.
Yeah.
So that when you get in front of the doctor, you're not going what was the thing? I can't remember. I think we've all probably done this with our vet appointments where we're oh, you got 6 things we want our vet to check on our dog. And we get there and we're we only remember 3 of them. I need to call my spouse. I can't remember. There was something else.
Well, how about this? You go to the grocery store and you forgot the thing you went to the grocery store for.
Sure.
So this is just something that human beings do. So if you've done this, it's there's nothing wrong with you. It's totally normal. And so that's why you have a notes app on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or you can write it in the appointment notes. So you on your calendar, you can just write it in your appointment notes, so you don't have to. It's really easy. But come with a system that works for you.
Yeah.
And I did laugh. I kind of rolled my eyes actually, because I was the whole appointment was on that thing. What are you doing? Talking about?
I talked about everything else. But
you guys getting referrals, 7 things. I'm what are you talking about? That is not why you made this appointment.
So the second point that Jessica said is, if you are really struggling with something that is affecting your stress levels, and which it's very plausible. If something's wrong with you, it could cause you to worry. When you get in front of the doctor, you may not actually be thinking clearly. And she suggested to take someone trusted with you to the appointment and just to sit there and be there and kind of look at it from an analytical perspective and make sure that, you know, the emotional side of it isn't actually clouding the conversation or stopping you from asking the questions that you should be asking. So that could be your partner, or that could be your best friend, you know, someone who already knows these things about you that you feel comfortable sharing those things with. You're obviously going to have permission from the doctor because of all the HIPAA laws here in the United States and all that kind of stuff about sharing sensitive health information, but I'm sure that's something that they can work out. It's not uncommon.
It's completely common. So
it's like a parent-child thing too, right? Obviously, there's another person in the room. And the last thing that she recommended was to be an advocate for yourself and to come up with a list of questions for the doctor that you are allowed to request blood tests. You don't have to sit there and like hope that they suggest it. You can say, hey, I'm worried about this thing. You know, can we do a blood test, or can we do I need to see a specialist, or whatever, do I need to take these supplements because of this thing that I'm worried about, whatever it might be, right? And the other thing is, she said, listen, doctors are, you know, you're the client of the doctor. And so doctors are busy, just like you have clients with your, you know, whether you're teaching or your, whatever it is that you're doing for work, you may have clients. You're the doctor's client. So it's okay for you to raise your hand again and be like, hey, don't forget about me. You said you were going to give me this referral. Mm-hmm. Hey, you were going to fax this thing over. Hey, you were going to give me a prescription. Whatever it is, right? So you're allowed to be the squeaky wheel.
I used to work at the doctor's office. I did. I don't know if you all know this, but I used to work at a doctor's office, and I actually worked in the records, and then I moved into phone calls. And here's what was very interesting. People who called, I'd have their messages, and I'd have to go find their chart. Now everything is like as digital, but I had to go find their physical chart, and I'd have to put the phone thing on the chart. And guess what? It got put back on the top. And so the squeaky wheel got their phone calls answered. And I was like, this system doesn't make any sense, because this poor person over here is being patient, is getting nothing over here. But at any rate, like, it is your health. It is your body. And I'm going to go into what I loved. I've already said it, but it's just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. Don't let your doctor tell you otherwise. So in that same doctor's appointment, same office, what ended up happening is, like, the person we're supposed to see, and I really did have Brad like look up some criteria of like what I thought I wanted in a doctor, and he did, and he totally did, and like she met all the criteria and was also close to home, and she was so busy. He was there for over an hour and hadn't got his appointment. So the other doctor in the office just did the appointment.
Yeah, for me. So I had not the GP we had booked, but it was in the same office as basically her business partner, I guess, or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, and he was like super helpful. Super helpful.
So great. I even watched the two of them talk at one point, and I was like, oh, that guy's really helpful. That's great. But the person I got, first of all, it was like a night and day difference. Not only did no one read what I wrote on the freaking paperwork that I wrote down, they made me answer it again. And then when the doctor came in, she made me answer it again. I'm like, I wrote it down and I answered it, and like, you have it right there. Like, I already feel like you're not organized. Then I was telling her the things I'm concerned about in my body. Consider this, going back to family history. My father's had skin cancer. He's had melanoma. So I said, I haven't seen a dermatologist since 2018. I'd like to see a dermatologist. She checked my back, just my back, and she goes, these all look fine. And she kind of I felt dismissed about that. Then I asked her a couple more questions, and she either said my insurance wouldn't cover it, or I don't need to worry about that because it's like you have to test it this many different times. And I felt so unseen. So like, even if she's completely correct about what she said, the point is that your body is your health, and you have the right to find a doctor who will help you. So I'm going to juxtapose this to the woman who helped me with my IUD removal. And I shared that because that was a journey and a half with all of you. But here's the deal. That woman advocated for me. She's like, I think I found your IUD. Let me get someone to confirm that I'm seeing it. Got her specialist in her office to look at the ultrasound and goes, is that it? Where is it at in her uterus? What's going on here? And then she's like, let me go see if I can remove this today. I didn't ask her to because I was told I couldn't have her removed that day, but she went to go see if she could do it then. And she came back and said, I'm so sorry, your insurance won't let me remove it today, but it's a really simple procedure. It's not gonna be a problem. We know where it is. And so and she took me to the front desk to make the appointment.
Yeah.
And so
that's really interesting.
So
that's really amazing, actually.
It's amazing.
You know, it's funny. I feel like this is the second time I've heard this story from you, obviously. And I feel like my conclusion was that the first GP was advocating on behalf of your wallet, because she kept saying your insurance won't cover that. And the reality is, it doesn't matter. You need these tests anyway, this blood work done anyway, the referral to the doctor anyway, whatever, right? So she was almost advocating for your wallet instead of your health.
Yeah.
Whereas the second doctor, she was advocating for your health first.
Yeah. So luckily I can go to her for my female stuff, and I'm going to find a different GP, and I'll just keep that hunt going. But I hope that helps all of you give yourself permission. Like, I know it's not, especially if I know a lot of places, healthcare is a really hard thing, whether your government covers it or you're in the US and in this shit show that we're all in. The reality is that it is up to us to advocate for ourselves. And we really do only have this one body.
Yeah.
We really do. And I don't know why we don't do preventative work, but like, please, like, take care of the body that you have, move it as much as you can. And when something feels off, write it down. Like Jessica said, take notes. How long is it off? When was the last time it felt right? Because if it is something that is consistently off, dismissing it is just going to cause more problems.
Well, I mean, just circle that back around. Just because it's common, does not mean it's normal.
Yeah.
Right. And it might be common, common across the population, but it doesn't mean it's normal.
Yeah.
Our bodies shouldn't be doing some of the things that are happening.
Yeah. And before we go into the beit action items, I just want to say this. Like, I have more female health advocates coming on this show, and there's a big reason why. We have to hear this message over and over again, because here is the deal, ladies. If your health is off, my stomach was off. Jessica has people dealing with pelvic floor issues. Those are being off. If you have those issues, it does absolutely affect you feeling confident enough to go to work. It affects you feeling like you can show up and be your whole self. There are things you say no to because you're worried about how, like, I said no to amazing dinners because I couldn't eat the food. And like, who knows what would happen there? And so I cannot help you be it till you see it if your health is keeping you from that.
All right. So finally, let's talk about those beit action items that you discussed with Jessica Vallant. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo? Why don't you go first?
My biggest takeaway is, how can you live that best life in that middle space? I thought this was so good. Like, I was like, oh, this is so good.
Well, first off, let's explain what the middle space means.
Yeah. So day-to-day action, like the middle. Here's the thing. You have a start point. That's the middle. You have a start point and you have a goal, right? So in particular with what Jessica was saying is like you had the life you had, then you have this like situation that's going on with your health, and you have this goal at the end, like when this health thing goes away.
Yeah.
But the reality is that because how long tests take, because how long healing takes, because of research and all that stuff, there's going to be a middle.
Yeah.
And how do we live our best life? How do we be it till we see it? How do we show up and do other things while we're in the middle, waiting for the healing, waiting for the results, waiting for the thing that's going on to be different? And this is like everything. This is whether it's health, whether it's business, whether it's love, whether it's anything. Like, how do we live our best life in that middle space, that space between where we started and where we want to be?
Okay, so what are those actual suggestions that Jessica had about how we live our best life in the middle?
Yeah, so she mentioned like the day-to-day action. So like, and that's, y'all, there's a lot of days that can be very much the same. And instead of it being redundant, oh my gosh, I'm like living this life waiting for the next thing. It's like, what action can you take each day? It's going to give you clarity. It's going to feel really good. Then it takes a plan. So you really are going to need a plan. And that is the hardest part, but then you have to work the plan, my loves. She didn't mention that, but this is very important. And Amy Ledine's like, once you have a plan, you actually have to work the plan, and you have to trust the plan. You can't just do it one day and then not the next day.
Yeah, actually, this makes me think back to your doctor's like 200-page you know, like all of the research that he did on your, like testing on your blood and all the conclusions that he drew from it, he came to you and said, okay, here's your plan for the next 12 months. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. And he literally gave you the steps.
Yep, he did. And I had to work them. And know that it is your journey. I thought that was very key. Know that it is your journey. And like, I think it can be easy to compare your journey to someone else's journey, but it's your journey.
Right.
And it's okay to be in this journey. And also one day at a time. It's a process. It will get you where you want to go. So, anyways, I feel like I'm so passionate about this, and I hope this episode helpful. So what are your beit loves?
Yeah. So you asked a really great question at the very end of the interview that neither of you actually answered. And I wanted to bring it back up so that we could answer here. You asked, how do you find a middle where you can live in that and thrive in that and enjoy it so that you're not constantly looking at that finish line, right? And Jessica said, right, like endometriosis, of which there's no cure. So how do you enjoy the middle, you know, even if there might not be an end?
Well, I think that was a rhetorical question for the listener.
It was, but I mean,
do you want more?
I mean, effectively, can we answer that? You know, how do we find contentedness in the middle? How do we enjoy the journey?
I think it's going to be different for everybody, and I do think, like, specifically when you're in one where there is no cure. Like, I think about Lori Watson, right? She's got back fusion, so it's right. Not like one day in her lifetime they're gonna be like, here's a new spine.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I share that because we just had her on LPC to do a workshop about back stuff. But, and I think of like Jessica with endometriosis. And I think some of these things, maybe, you know, your pain becomes your program, and she is like finding money to raise money for research so we actually can figure out endometriosis.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I know. I'm so good at circling back to things. And, but I think like, I think it comes back to the be it till you see it. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
First, like, what do you want? And also, like, you are not your endometriosis. You are not whatever this pain is. I was not my stomach issues. I was not my health. Like, those are not the things I am. Those are not, like, here, it's not going to say my tombstone. Here lies Lesley. She had a lot of stomach problems. It's going to talk about like I don't know. I don't even know what my tombstone, but it's not going to say that. So the reality is, I think you need to go back to like, what are you wanting out of this life that you have?
Yeah.
And where are you today? And then when you work yourself backwards, that's what creates the plan.
Yeah.
And then I really think you got to celebrate the fuck out of each day.
Yeah.
And what did go well. And so the highlight of your day is not the pain you're in.
It's the joy of the journey.
Yeah. And I'm not saying
what joy can you find in the journey? How do you know, I feel like taking a pause, you know, like this brings back Jackie Service, Power in the Pause, you know, or Amy Ledeen, you know, her ongoing battle in you know, cancer free, and then it goes back in remission.
Yeah, she doesn't focus on her cancer every day. I talk to her every other week. We don't even talk about that.
Comes out of remission. Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about the action steps she's taken that day, what she's celebrating, what's going well. And I'm not saying that any of these people, nor myself, ignore the pain. You still are advocating for yourself. It's just that, you know, what we manage is what grows, right? What we appreciate appreciates. So you can each day appreciate the good things that happened that day, the people that you love, the people that opened a door for you, the people that like supported you, and yet this other stuff can still have happened. But if you focus on all that good stuff, I think you're just going to feel fucking better, and you're going to enjoy that middle. And then you take notes like each day about like how you're feeling about the thing that you're trying to solve a problem on. But I don't know.
What we appreciate appreciates.
Yeah, it really does. So I think I'm a verbal processor. I hope everyone followed that. And if you're like shouting out from your phone, like to me and Brad, what the answer is, then send it to the Beit Pod and I'll post it. I'll talk about it in a future episode because I would love to hear how you are trying to live and thrive in the middle without your, whatever your thing is holding you back. It's there. It's part of the journey. Here's the deal. Have you ever heard anybody inspiring a story say, I had this amazing life and it was so fucking great. And then I got here and I made this amazing thing and it's been so fucking great. And then I was here. No, every single person, including Oprah her fucking self, they all came from some sort of pain. And then they used it to create the programs and the platforms and another, whatever P word we want to put in here to help others. So they don't focus on the pain that they came from. It's just part of the story. It's part of their middle, and it's what helps them reach other people. So anyways.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I think that was a great answer to a rhetorical question.
Yeah. Well, I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so grateful you're here. How are you going to use these tips in your life? Let us know by sending a DM to the Beit Pod on Instagram, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell. Our associate producer is Amanda Frattarelli.
Kevin Perez at Disenyo handles all of our audio editing.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jairo Mandal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Perdoso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Angelina Herrico for transcribing each of our episodes so you can find them on our website. And finally, to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.